Hello everyone, welcome to the Artefacto YouTube channel. My name is Jessica Bryant. To create a great watercolor painting, it's important to carefully plan. You want to choose a reference that allows you to craft a high quality composition. Please watch the full video and you might find it helpful to take some notes or watch it again.
So one example I have, I've done a handful of artisan residencies for the national parks in the United States. And these look different really quick. Generally, you get to live inside the park for a period of time. You do programs for park visitors, and mostly you get to just be free to do what you want to do. And so I was in Rocky Mountain National Park, which is in Colorado, high up in the mountains. I got to live in a historic cabin that was over 100 years old and just amazing and stunning views out the deck, completely isolated, no cell service, no internet, no anything. It's just great. So I was all over the park, hiked so much every single day. And there's so many things I wanted to paint that I have had to choose not to paint because I was not able to get references that could convey what was important about it to me, which means I'm pretty sure I probably won't love my finished paintings. And that's just not how I like to work anymore. So here's an example. This was part of this really outstanding hike I did in this really neat lake, these fantastic mountain shapes and all of this stuff. But the angles I could get from the access I had on foot, and with the limited time I had, the best I could do was stitching together a bunch of photographs. And there's nothing wrong with that, but I'm getting this kind of awkward curve happening in my water. And so if I were going to paint this, I don't want that. Me personally, I don't want that because that's a camera effect and that's not how I perceive the place. And to me, that becomes a distraction from engaging with the location the way I would want to. And I could make changes. I could choose to pull the dark of the water down further so it feels a little bit more. And maybe someday I'll decide to do that after all. But then this tree shape doesn't quite fit. I don't love it. There's a lot of things I want to change about how the rocks are compositionally. There's just quite a lot of things that aren't ready to go. And that doesn't mean that I only paint things exactly as they are, because that's very rare for me. But I have, over the years, my photography has changed because now I photograph with my painting in mind instead of photographing for the sake of photographing. And so I can get images sometimes they're a lot closer to hitting the things I would want to hit when I was drawing out my thumbnail sketch before I paint. And this just is enough manipulation that I don't trust I can pull it off easily. And I'm busy and I have a lot of other things to do. And so I haven't come back to it. I've chosen to skip this one, at least for now, largely for those reasons. Not even so much compositionally, just the reality of it is kind of challenging. And here I was in Bryce Canyon National Park, and we were there when there was a blizzard going in and out, and it was the neatest experience, and these fantastic snows and just amazing shapes. And I don't have a single photo reference from that day that is something that is worth painting in my mind. Some of it is just.
I really hope you enjoy this lesson. It's actually a small part of my 3 Keys to Success in Painting workshop. If you want to watch the full video right now, follow the link in the description and register for free. I really want everyone to succeed in painting. I hope my lessons will help you do that. Watercolor can be challenging. It requires thinking differently than in other painting mediums. Taking the time to plan your painting before you start can make the painting process feel easier and more enjoyable, and it really offers a chance to avoid some of the common struggles.
I maybe wasn't as good at photographing with the eye of a painter. This was a long time ago. But also just something of the nature of the lighting that was happening. If I had the time to sit in person, I maybe would have been able to get something a lot better. But I had my family with me. They don't tolerate my photography forever. They understand what I do and what I care about. But I'm limited. I can't just stand in the same place for an hour until I get exactly what I want. So things like this, and I'll hold it up a little bit closer maybe so you can see it better. So I have this one tree and then these rocks, and these rocks come just about to halfway across my image. So I'm almost splitting my image into two. This side is about a tree, this side is about a rock. There's this kind of log in between, which it's okay. I mean, I could make a painting that technically is skilled from it, but it's not a compelling image. It doesn't have anything clear to say to me. The values are very similar. If you squint at this, we've got a little bit of lightness down here and a band across the sky that's lighter. It's not very compelling. So that's one that I've chosen not to paint for that reason. Now, if I really, really was desperate to paint that location, one option I would have is to bring back in these L mats and start looking around, because maybe there's something that I could find here. Maybe if I took away part of that rock, so this could be a little bit more about the tree, maybe that could be something, maybe I could find something that works a little bit better somewhere in here. Again, we don't have much time, so I'm not really going to get super far into this. We'll talk about this in the Zoom session I do about choosing photo references at much greater length. But so let's say I found something that was maybe workable. If I have something maybe workable, but it still doesn't quite work, maybe I need to start looking at changing some of the values. If you're a whiz on the computer and you're very comfortable with software like Photoshop, you can do some play and manipulations with lightening areas or darkening areas or shifting colors, things like that. But mostly it's going to be value. You can do some cropping, you can do some value adjustments to see if you can get something that works better. I have done that. You can also do that manually. You can take pastels or even just a white and black chalk or Conte crayon and take your reference and start making changes on it to see what your value structure is and to play with what's happening and see what you can do that looks better. I didn't think of it. If I had made a black and white copy of this one that I'm looking at painting soon, this, what I'm going to show you would work a little bit better, but just to try to show a couple examples. Like I said in my photograph, this is a very hard, strong shape here. And in the painting I did, I chose to soften it in different ways. I brought in some light coming through and I broke up that shape. I know it's a shadow of something, probably a large rock wall somewhere up there, but since I can't see it, it's just this very hard triangular shape that's a little bit isolated. But the reason I still looked at this painting is because I have a large dark shape here and then a couple smaller shapes here. So if we squint way down on this until these values all kind of blend together, really our value structure here is dark shape, couple little dark shapes. So things you could play with are, I can use my sky. My sky doesn't have clouds, it's just blues. I can darken or lighten areas to have an impact on my composition. Because I've got this strong dark over here, maybe I could have considered doing my strong dark on this side as a balance. And I know this is black instead of color. Bear with me, use your imagination. And I could play with what I might do here. I'm not saying I'm going to love what I'm doing. This is total experimentation. And I don't like the shape that made at all. Which of course happens when you're teaching live all the time. And maybe that's not at all what I would have wanted to do. So this is an option. You can play with things like this. Maybe you can start to see how I can create kind of a echo of this shape up here. It's not smooth or attractive yet, but it gives you the rough idea. If we're just talking about values, I could even bring that darker in and make it blend into this shape, although that's going to change and no longer be an echo of this same shape. Maybe that's good, maybe that's bad. But this is one way you can play with your images to see how changes might come across. You could do this endlessly. You could print out 20 copies of your painting and try, or of your photograph and try all kinds of things. Another tool that exists is there's a clear water media acetate is what it's called, at least in the United States. It's like a flexible, thin, clear film, and you can paint on it. The paint sits okay, it bubbles up a little bit, but not like it would on normal glass or something like that. But you put a sheet of that down and then you can paint right on top of your reference and try different things out, wipe it off if you don't like it, experiment. If I was trying to get a really, I don't know, softer, mistier look, maybe I'd want to lighten the further back mountains a bit and see how that might change the effect in my painting. Maybe I would want to lighten the edge. Maybe for some reason I don't like how dark that darkest shape is up here. So I could lighten those and get something a little more atmospheric happening up there. The point here is I just want you to have the idea of you have permission to play. You have permission to make adjustments, change things. Especially if you're learning and not super confident with making adjustments, it's really helpful to do it in a way where you have a reference that includes your adjustments. Instead of trying to do this only in your mind and apply it only in your painting, if we have the chance to apply it in a sample first, like a sketch, only this way I don't have to draw out all the details. I can still see the color. I can still see all the things in my reference. And so I just lightened that one a bit. And lightening things tends to make them push further back in distance, and darkening tends to pull them closer. If you go somewhere outdoors and look long distance, you'll see this. Obviously, you can see it in this photograph too, where as the mountains get further away, they get lighter and lighter. That's just a product of moisture in the air and the way light hits our eyes, and that's a longer story. Because I want to get on to our questions here. I don't want to go too far, but I just want you to have the idea that you can manipulate your photo reference and try different things, remembering that you want to focus on value, and think about cropping. You don't have to use your photograph exactly as it is. My paintings, if you go to my website and look at the sizes under my paintings, they're all over the place. It's very rare that I have paintings that are a standard size. And the only reason for that is because I'm choosing dimensions that will make what I think is the strongest composition with my given subject. And that's my personal priority. Not everybody's. That's just where I'm at with it. And I'll say again, take notes for yourself. You can take notes for your reference. If you decide I want to go darker blue on this side and I want to be lighter here, you can write it out. And that can help you remember that that's what you were planning to do as you worked your way through. So hopefully that gives you some ideas that you can apply to your own work.
Thank you so much for sharing that, Jessica. And we have several people enrolling.
I hope this video is helpful for you. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel where we assist all individuals in mastering the skills of painting and immersing themselves in the wonderful world of art. Don't forget to follow the link in the video description and register for my course. See you there soon.